Welcome back. Today is very exciting for me because Kriya has been fixed. So a little while ago, an old friend of mine called me up and told me that a certain organization has added 9 pages to their Kriya material, to their Kriya lessons. And in that material, they highlight OM Japa in the chakras, and they highlight some instructions for Khechari Mudra. And I think this is so wonderful because all of the Kriya communities are beginning to understand what the original technique is, how we can do it, and perhaps what it is actually doing inside of us. So it's a glorious thing. I'm really happy and excited. If you're a fan of this channel, you might already know that Lahiri Baba very clearly said Kriya Yoga without OM Japa is tamasic. He not only said it, he wrote it, and he didn't write it once, he wrote it multiple times, and his family thought that that was so important that they put it in a book. They didn't keep it secret, they put it in a book so all the Kriya Yogis would forever hear those words. Kriya Yoga must include OM Japa, or the technique can tend to be tamasic. So my friend who called me up is really a hero of this story. In 2000, he started bringing it up with the monks of this certain organization, saying, look at this original lesson from 1924. Here OM Japa is mentioned, and lifting the tongue is also mentioned with the Kriya instruction. And then somewhere along the line, all of that was taken out of the Kriya lesson. And so all this time, I don't know how many years, I'm going to check with a friend of mine to try and figure out how many years it's been since this original Kriya lesson had OM Japa instruction and Khechari instruction. I'm figuring it's at least 30, 40, or 50 years. I'm not sure. So I'm going to check into that. This news really pacifies my heart because I've been worried about people who have told me, hey, I'm going to this organization for Kriya, and I think it's great. I think it's a great community. I think it can give you a lot of support. And yet I was very worried because the technique did not have OM Japa. And so I always try and highlight, hey, don't forget to throw in some OM Japa into your technique because it's so valuable. Why is it so valuable, by the way? Well, the OM Japa in the chakra is very powerfully reversing the limbic projection of the brain. So when you see the writings of Lahiri Mahasaya and you see that gorgeous picture of the chakras, where you see all these lines going back to the brain, that is his picturization of the projection of the limbic brain. Of course, he didn't have that Western language to tell us that, but this is what he's picturing. He's picturing what the Gita tells us. The Gita says we are an upside down tree, and all of our roots go up into the brain. The roots of the tree are the brain, and this is just the limbs. It's not the truth of the tree. You see, it's back home in the brain where we belong when we want to meditate deeply. So the Gita very famously says, he who knows the tree knows Vedas, knows truth. So it's a very powerful statement, very powerful understanding. And if we can understand that the chakras are projections of the brain, and that by OM Japa we will cause what I call a roll-up. So we can feel energy going up and down the spine. That's one thing. And we can feel ourselves, our sense of self, rise up into the brain. You might feel like, oh my goodness, I'm up on a mountaintop, or I'm floating up in the air, or I'm up in the clouds, or I'm on top of the Empire State Building. I'm very high. I don't know what it's going on, but I feel lifted up. And so the Bible often says, be lifted up in the Spirit. This is exactly what they're talking about, this roll-up. We are less preoccupied with the lower centers and the lower issues of life and this worldly existence around us, and we are going back home towards the brain to experience something which is more direct and pure of our actual experience inside the brain, inside of the non-dual state. That's where we're heading. And so to do that, to facilitate that, we have to have a cleansing process of the chakras. And that's what OM Japa is doing for us. It is cleansing those chakras and facilitating this roll-up into the brain. So this particular organization, I congratulate you on returning to some of the core principles of Lahiri Mahasaya and the OM Japa in the Kriya. I think it's a glorious, gorgeous development, and I'm ecstatic for it. I think it's fantastic. So if you like this video, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you next time.